Welcome to the Lou Review, where today I will be reviewing Tyler the Creator's debut album titled Bastard. Throughout this video, I am referring to Bastard as an album, even though it is often called a mixtape. If you want, you can like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, but I'm not going to force you to. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't, then don't, I'm not going to force you to come back here. Bastard is an album that was released on December 25th, 2023 by a 17-year-old Tyler the Creator. In total, this album had 15 tracks on it. There is a lot of words that would likely get this video taken down since YouTube is sensitive, so I can't go too in depth on the lyrics in this album. I would like to be able to continue running a channel and make future reviews, so I am sorry that I don't touch up on a lot of the subjects on here. You can listen to the album yourself and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, or just specifically go onto YouTube and search up Sarah by Tyler the Creator. This album is not found on many streaming services. I don't think any at all, actually, so that's why I mentioned YouTube. Anyways, some general overall things about this album that I feel about it. I love the overall meaning and the depth of this album. While yes, it talks about a lot of dark, twisted topics, as I mentioned, all of these horrific crimes that he commits throughout are just an expression of his anger due to his dad leaving him, of the pent up, bottled up frustration and rage directed at his father for giving up on him, for never being able to meet his own father. The album is set up as an entire therapy session, not something that he truly acts upon with those crimes that he mentions. For an example, what he did on the track Sarah wasn't truthful. It was what he wanted to do in a way, to express that hatred he had to the rejection, as all he wanted was for the girl to say yes to him to Homecoming. Tyler, this entire album, was having a therapist session as he was letting his demons out, which is a very weird way to let them out. It's sort of intrusive, demonic thoughts that he has that he's just expressing to the therapist that is also himself, though it's not really his own. It is his own voice, but it doesn't sound the same. It's just a very deep version of his voice, and it's just used to set a distinct difference between the two. The first track on Bastard does this well, as I've said, does the whole therapist thing and expressing emotions thing well, as it's an introductory to the entire idea of the therapy session, and it's a consistent theme that's throughout the album. On the final track of the album, that's titled Inglorious, Tyler is telling all of the kids with dads who left them to join him on telling their fathers to screw off as they don't matter anymore. That basically they got this far without them, and they graduated without the father. They grew up without their father. They became a man without their father, and they never needed them. It is, in this instance, Tyler progressing as a person as he's letting go of that hatred he has towards his dad, saying, just screw off. I am a good man and I don't need to be this way. And basically, he's owning up to the fact that he is indeed a bastard, which is the title of the album, but he isn't letting it define him. Some things outside of the overall encompassing point of the album, just general details on it, for example, are the hooks that he has throughout the songs that I absolutely love, as well as these talentedly written bars, great flow, and not to mention an outstanding beat production on this record. Tyler's voice is also incredibly deep throughout the record on songs that I didn't write down which songs they were deep on, but a lot of the records, just his normal talking voice is deep, and he purposely can make it deeper at times. There also are incredible features on this album, as they don't lack at all. Each guest is delivering on their verse. Every song is staying consistent, in my opinion, and I don't think there was a bad song on this album. However, you could say that Tina was a little weak compared to the rest of it. Um, I still enjoyed listening to Tina, though at times it can get obnoxious, and I'm not going to, out of all the tracks on that album, pick Tina. I also like the connections he does between his songs, as he corresponds them with others. Like, for example, Bastard going into 7, the therapist is asking Tyler if he could say anything to his father. What would he say to him? And then Bastard just cuts off, and it goes into Session, where he goes into detail how much he wants to go off on his father, and basically does, saying, expressing how he feels. And I absolutely love about this album something that I don't care if you enjoy it or not, you just cannot take this away from the album, is that Tyler is making his own music, and he's speaking his mind. He's not holding back. He's not doing it for money, he's not doing it for hits or for a particular audience. He's doing it for himself. And that is something that not a lot of artists do these days. Now, I'm going to go into a more in-depth analysis of this album. It's not going to be super in-depth. There's 15 tracks. I'm not going over every track as I've stated. Plus, a lot of the lyrics would likely get this video and taken down. I could get a strike or whatever. So I'm just not going to risk that and talk about every track in detail, but I will just gloss over it. For example, the hooks that I loved, um, the hooks of the chorus, sort of the same thing, honestly. But they're on this album, and basically every song, even though on one of them, it was Jack and the Beanstalk. He says he doesn't have a hook on it, though he does have a hook on it. It's him saying he doesn't have a hook, and also just a repeating line of "They don't paint pictures, they just trace me," which I found heavily enjoyable to listen to, and thinking about how they aren't making original things, they're sort of just copies, if that makes sense. But that's just one of the hooks on one of the 15 songs that are in the hooks that I think are incredibly done well. It might not be to you, but to me, I just cannot get enough of them. And they're also very catchy at times. My favorite hook on this album, though, was on the 10th track, where Tyler was singing, "Can I sleep over and wake up next to you? I want to feel you near. Just let me whisper in your ear, which was VCR slash Wheels, specifically the part on the Wheels half, as I believe it's the best hook on the entire album. The way the lyrics sound as if they're in, I don't know, this like background. It makes it sound like it's in the background, and it's like mixed with somewhat of an echo and a distorted beat next to it as well. It just sounds like pure bliss to me. There's also in Session, the track Session, I love the talk that they had just at the start of it, where Tyler's just in general uh, talking to like a group of people, and they're talking to him, and they ask him to join in on smoking. He's talking about he's straight edge, he doesn't do all that, and they were just telling him, it's like, okay, well, at least rap for us, do something. And the features on that from Mike G and Haji Beats were beautiful. The production, yet again, is on point. Those drum rolls and claps that sound uplifting next to the background instrumentals fit together perfectly. There's also the South Park reference relating to how the boys often find Kenny, which is finding his corpse, and that he was referencing finding a corpse of this girl. I just overall enjoy the connections he makes with his bars, plenty of allusion, referencing past or future lyrics or songs within the album. Tyler is lyrically gifted on this album with plenty of double entendres and these outside cultural references he makes. The production on this record is often songs that have, this sort of slow tempo, but there's also these fast tempo songs. It's very weird. It's and it sounds like in some of the tracks it's both to me. I know it's sort of juxtaposing, or I'm contradicting myself when I say that. It's a juxtaposition in the track is what I feel like it is. But Tyler adjusts the songs the way he wants it to for each song and makes it fit well as he's adjusting it to his own means. As I've said, he's making his own music. So he's not really following some other formula. He's just going off of what he feels is natural. Almost every song on here fits two categories, really, like with the beat production. It either sounds like eerie, dark, gloomy, and sinister at points, or the other types of productions you will hear will be sort of head bops. And in some tracks, it'll be a mix of both. So either sort of like, you know, a beat, you wouldn't hear beat in a horror movie, but it sounds like something you would hear in a horror movie, like in the background. Or it would be beats you'd hear from a DJ who's just like all hype, like, yeah, you know what I mean? And also, the Earl sweatshirt feature on the track Ass Milk was also very notable, and I felt like the only feature that matched Tyler's talent and ability on this album, like the only one that sort of just was on his level when it came to rapping, while the other features were not bad. They were great, but Tyler was obviously the best rapper on the entire album compared to them. Like they would be maybe like here and he'd be there, but I feel like Earl was just like neck and neck with him on that track. With all of this being said, the great production, hooks, the message, the bars, and the features, they all add up to what I feel would be a 7 out of 10 album. I feel this is a great album and is highly underrated, or it is often misunderstood. What do you think of my take on it? Do you like or dislike this album? Comment what you felt, and also don't be afraid to send requests of what you'd like for me to review next.